antelope!
Seriously, you see an antelope? Are there antelopes there?
There's an antelope, and it's crossing the street.
Film
it's
it!
amazing.
What are you doing?
There's icicles on a house.
Film it!
There's water dripping off of the icicles on a house.
Picture it didn't happen.
It's Wyoming, man. That stuff happens all the time. Why do you... I don't understand.
Destin,
I don't understand why you feel...
you weren't there. You didn't see the avalanche. It was awesome. It was high.
Icicles?
It was all the icicles on an entire wall of a great big building at once.
But you should have heard yourself.
Oh my gosh!
That's how I felt. Dude, it was...
There's icicles everywhere. They're falling.
Okay.
That's how
All right.
gravity
First
works,
of all,
Matt.
First of all, you just don't get it. Second of all, when I don't want to come into my office because there's a bunch of people sitting in the area where everybody meets that's between the front door and the office, so I have to walk by them awkwardly, I sit in my car right in that same spot every time, and I look right down that row, and I've watched those icicles grow. I mean, I could have named all of them over the last month. 30 days I've been looking at those icicles, and you know what I've been thinking? I should bring a basketball out here from the gym and throw it at them and try to knock them down. And then I'm like, no. I'm going to let nature take its course, and I just hope I'm lucky enough to be here when they fall. And I was. And that is awesome.
I know, that's good. That's what you did, man. I was really upset with the... Whatever.
No, wait, what were you upset with?
Your obsession with elk that come down into the city.
That upsets you.
It doesn't upset me.
You said upset.
You say it... You say it like it's new every time.
Because beautiful things are new every time you see them. That's how beauty works.
I get it, but...
So like what if I do this thing with Camilla where I'm like, you were so beautiful the first time I met you. Since then, yeah.
Here's the deal. Imagine you were talking to me, and every time we talked, I'm like, oh my goodness! It's the North Star! We appear to be rotating around it!
I still think that's awesome.
It is awesome, I'm not going to lie.
Okay, well, let me give you the counter example because this is important, and I'm not just going to take this lying down. Hey, look, it's another snap of a rocket.
Shut up.
You guys aren't going to believe what I saw in Alabama near Huntsville. It's space paraphernalia. Did you know people go to space with rockets? They just shoot them straight up there.
I have no defense here. I accept your criticism because what you're saying is true.
Yes, it is. And yours may also be true. My point is, I live here because I'm into that crap. And I don't even like shooting them. Like everybody else is into elk and they're looking at them and thinking like, how could I murder that? It's so beautiful. I want to kill it and eat it with my face. And I'm looking at it and I just stop right at, it's so beautiful. There's no murder. There's no dead. It just continues to impress me. And you live there because you like space.
True.
It's fun to get to characterize you as someone who hates beauty and wonder. That's Destin. That dude hates wonder.
You know me.
And learning and awe.
But you really do always whatever.
I really do always want.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that you appreciate beauty in the world. Because I mean, even the other day I said, "Whoa, wow, that sunset's beautiful," but you'll do it like right in the middle of a really. It always happens. It always happens when I drop some huge knowledge on you, like, "Hey, Matt, turns out they're gonna remove my liver," and you're like, "Oh, look at it." True or false? You don't even know. You don't even know that you do this.
It's a bear. It's
Okay.
on the map. It's 10 miles away. I can see a bear.
Matt, I just told you they're removing my liver.
It's got a fish.
I'm crying. All right, I'm back. I wish I could catch fish like that, man. You do that all the time.
I do that.
And you need to just pick when you acknowledge the beauty. That's all I'm asking.
And what I'm saying is that if I just acknowledge beauty whenever beauty is happening, like when you're taking a breath between words in a really important thing you're telling me, it lends perspective. I'm making that up. I'm not sure I actually feel that. I just get distracted.
I don't
'Cause
think
things are cool looking.
You're just trying to make a point that's not there. I was just gonna let you dig that hole, Mr. Pastor Man. Yeah, I'm gonna say things about beauty that I don't believe because I'm trying to make a point, make you look stupid.
I care about your liver. But if you were having your liver removed and I saw a bear right when you were telling me, I would not just burst out like that. I'd be like, wow, dude, sucks. But there's a bear.
It's a really pretty bear, by the way. I had a friend. He was like a senior engineer. He was really like there's this really grouchy engineer that I kind of want to be like because he's like a subject matter expert. And he said something one time about being sick, and he said something about his liver. Yeah, I went to the doctor. They said something about my liver. It's like, what'd they say, Scott? They said it's pickled. Apparently I drink too much.
So I just moved offices at work. There are things that are still in my office that I've moved to every single office.
What's the most ridiculous thing you've moved from all those offices?
Oh, man. That's a really good question. Oh, no. You know what? I just found a ridiculous thing that I moved. It's a bomblet dropping dispenser.
A what?
A bomblet dropping dispenser. This guy that I used to work with, he worked on a program that dropped bomblets out of a missile.
What is a bomblet?
There's treaties against them now.
So it's like an adorable small bomb?
Yeah, they're cute and cuddly. No, they were actually really bad. Back in the height of the Cold War, the Russians and Americans were making, these big missiles that you could shoot at each other. And then on its way over the battlefield, it'll just litter the whole battlefield with these little bitty bomblets. And if there were...
Ugh.
Yeah, it's awful. If there were, a convoy of vehicles, it would just take out the whole convoy at one time. But the problem is there was a high dud rate. And so what they would do is they would, these things would hit the ground, and when they didn't explode, they would later on have to come and clean that stuff up. It would be a really huge unexploded ordnance hazard. He made this device that he would hang from the bottom of a big helium balloon, and he could remote control drop bomblets, and they would measure the dud rate of these bombs. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. How long ago did this become illegal?
I don't really know. There still are submunitions now. Oh my gosh. Speaking of submunitions, dude, are you aware of the nuclear bomb moment that just happened?
What am I missing? I don't think so. When did this happen?
You know Oppenheimer, right?
Sure.
Okay. You know what he said when he first saw the nuclear blast?
Did he say it when he first saw it? The I have become death line?
Yeah, when he laid on the ground.
Yeah.
I had an I am become death moment when I saw this just a few minutes ago. So the Navy has tested swarm drones for the first time in a massive way. This is unreal. So an F-18, actually it was 3 F-18s flying over China Lake out in California. They dispersed these drones, 103 of them. This is like, seriously, this just changed everything about humans and force against other humans. So here's the deal. They drop them out of this aircraft, and they can assign targets to them, and they can all communicate. And they all go take out the target, but they do it intelligently.
That's unstoppable.
Yeah. Put a micro warhead on each one of those.
Look at that. I mean, it looks like a sky full of swallows.
Except they're all drones, and they all have the capability of having a warhead on them. What do you do?
How do you feel about drone warfare in general? Is that something you've been cool with in the past? Is this just too much?
I mean, I understand it. I did a senior design project related to it for my master's degree. But look at this. I mean, so this is one side, right? So what we're about to have, Matt, the only way you could counter something like this is either A, with lasers, or B, you have your own swarm. We would have, drone dogfights.
Or an EMP.
You think?
Well, I mean, That's the thing, is it seems like the natural counter to that is detonating an EMP in the air.
Yeah, EMPs aren't. I mean, my understanding of EMPs is that it's not necessarily science fiction, but EMP.
But don't you get an electromagnetic pulse out of like a nuclear blast?
You do, but if this was unleashed in a city, I mean, you can't like nuke yourself.
No, I'm against that.
Yeah, I mean the range of these things is only going to be, I don't know. I just had a moment when I saw this, and that moment was, holy cow! Like Skynet is active. I think there's a time and a place for drone swarms, and it's just unfortunate that it's in my lifetime because.
Would you mind speaking to what the time and the place is for a drone swarm?
I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point.
Here's my thing with drones, and this is incredibly simplistic, and it's a historian's perspective. I feel like one of the great things that we learned about war during the 30 Years' War in the 17th century, that was the big one where Catholics and Protestants got into it after the Reformation, and they killed all of Europe, is a huge deal.
I've never even heard of the 30 Years. I know the Catholics and Protestants didn't get along at some point in the past, but I did not know it was called the 30 Years' War.
It was ugly. It was horrible. Yeah, Catholics and Protestants, they were basically political parties, and everybody wants to say, oh, well, that's what religion does. But the thing is, they were political parties for all intents and purposes. The church and state got mingled in a weird way, and really bad things happened. And so in that really ugly, giant land war in Europe, people kind of started to figure out, man, killing on this scale is something I don't think we want to do. But they didn't totally figure it out. Then you had Napoleonic War, and it was just horrible through the first half of the 19th century. And then we kind of figured it out a little bit in the Civil War. And then you notice that right about after our Civil War, our killing techniques became a little less personal. Now, by the time you get into World War II, there's a lot more distance between people in terms of how war happens. And it feels like the easier it is to kill someone remotely without risking your own neck to be there, the more likely I think we are to think it might be worth taking the risk of picking a fight. So what I'm saying is, if we got guns pointed at each other, and we're like, well, we could pull the triggers and see what happens, or, since that's basically just flipping a coin and one of us is going to die, or we could just not, we're almost always going to pick let's just not. Whereas, if we're both just holding Xbox controllers halfway around the world, we're not even talking. I don't even have to look at you. And so I get strategically the value of it, but I do think on the human level, it reduces one of the biggest checks on our willingness to engage in violence.
Okay, so two thoughts on that. Number one, I agree because that did make it a lot easier to send the manatee email. Knowing that
brought that back around.
Knowing that nobody would care. And it would only affect you, and it was just a remote email I could send and then giggle about for the rest of the day, which I did.
It worked for me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then number two, I know friends that are pilots, and I know friends that are ground pounders, people that have done war in infantry, and they say the major difference, like the pilots will tell you this. A lot of people are like, "Oh man, you're a fighter pilot or whatever. You're such an awesome dude." They don't talk like that. They take what they're doing very, very seriously, and the whole job of a pilot, if you talk to them, is about supporting the ground soldier. And I've said, hey man, I've talked to some people that been in war and they've killed people, and I know you have too as a pilot. Does that mess with you? And you know what they say? This is kind of grotesque and strange, but I mean this is reality. They say, yeah, but I didn't have to smell it.
Ooh.
And like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, these people are actually, they have to do the dirty business, and that's not cool at all. And so I agree with you. The more remotely we're able to fight other people, the more likely we are to do it.
Yeah.
That's what makes, these people scary, like, North Korea, all these guys. What are they working on? They're working on the long-distance death technology.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, because that's the Hail Mary they can throw to equalize something that otherwise has no chance of being equalized for them.
But think about this, man. The reality is there are going to be bad people that want to do bad things to other people, right?
Yep.
So how do you counter that?
If you counter it in ways that cause you to become part of the problem, I think you've countered it incorrectly.
Yeah, so what you're saying is some things you just can't counter without getting your hands dirty.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. For example, one group of people I'm really not liking a ton right now is ISIS. I
Yeah.
disagree with many of their practices. And I really would like to see ISIS defeated because I think they are bad. I am not willing to do the things ISIS is doing in order to beat them. And when, some politicians in campaign season were proposing behaving more like ISIS to beat ISIS,
Oh, like going after their families?
I thought, oh, like that? That's dark. I don't want to do that. I'm not up for that. Nope, let's not do that. I don't want to be them. I don't want to get killed by them, but I also don't want to be them.
Yeah.
The drone thing concerns me because we've been doing it for not very long, and it did not take long for us to go from thinking in terms of drones for reconnaissance or drones for supporting troops who are already on the ground to take it to the next level of extrajudicial assassination.
It does feel like, what did we humans do as soon as we figured out nuclear bomb technology?
Use it.
Yeah. And then once it was used, what happened? Make more.
Yeah. Yeah, and then have that, just the sheer existence of that power, then defined the next 50 years of politics globally.
It did.
Just that the technology exists and that it has been let out of the bag informed everything about how we treat other countries.
Yep. So, are we about to see the same thing with drones?
I'm really concerned. That kind of power tends to lead to people ending up dead. I'm against killing people. I'm not some raving anti-military guy. It's the technology. It's too much power.
Yeah.
All right, this episode of No Dumb Questions is brought to you by our subreddit. We actually have a subreddit called No Dumb Questions, and the way it came about is this guy invented it like 1 billion years ago, and it didn't catch on, but he gave it to us. So if you want to go hang out, have discussions about this episode or any other ones, go to reddit.com/r/nodumbquestions. We promise not to be tyrannical mods.
So you did not go to Chicago. Why did you skip it? Because you sounded like you were pretty sure you were going to go when we talked last time.
Okay, so I went to the White House, and there was a meeting there. They called it the Digital Influencer Summit is the name they chose for that. And it was kind of strange. It didn't look like it was well planned out, but when I got there, they were like, "Hey, one of the major things we were hoping to do is to convince you to go to Chicago." I was like, "Okay, great. That sounds wonderful. It's something I was interested in doing anyway for the historical purpose." And they're like, "Yeah, 20,000 people are going to be there." I was like,
I think we were picturing something a lot more intimate.
Yeah, and so that was the main reason. It was a 20,000 person event. And the second thing is I had an opportunity to fly in a Blackhawk today, so I did that instead.
Why were you flying in a Blackhawk? That's just a work thing for you, right? Like I counsel people and you fly in attack helicopters?
A Blackhawk's not an attack helicopter. It's just
I was joking. I know that. You're so weird because they're for another purpose that I definitely know. I'm up on this stuff. Can't believe you fell for that.
No. A Blackhawk's just like hauling stuff from point A to point B. But
that's right, because there are people in it, because the movie, because of Black Hawk Down, there are people in there.
Yeah. The thing I like about flying is A, that it's awesome, but B, that I get to watch pilots that know what they're doing and listen to how they're doing things and try to learn from them because they're smart people. And if I can just listen to them and watch how they communicate with the radio operators, they have so much confidence, and I don't. And so I really like that. I really like watching them with all the swagger and stuff they have. My son got 2 flying devices for Christmas. It's like, hey, he's a young boy. He would like a flying thing. Let me pick one up for $10.
Yeah, we got my son one too, and I immediately flew it off into oblivion. We used it for like 4 minutes. He cried.
Oh, we did too, by the way.
I don't know where that thing went.
My son, we summoned all of our Redneck Powers to get ours back, though. Have I told you this story?
What happened to it?
So he went in the front yard, and he, instantly flew it off into nowhere. Said, "Hey, I don't know where it's at." Went out into the woods. So we walk out there and said, "Hey, well, where did it go?" He goes, "I don't know, that way." We walk out there. We look around for a good 30 minutes. We can't find it. And then finally, I said, hey, why don't we go get the controller and start trying to summon it with the controller and see if we can hear it. And so we spread out in the woods. We're talking about over a 20-acre area. No, it's more like a 5-acre area. We spread out, heavily wooded area, and we start, giving an up command. And then we all triangulate it with our ears, and then we all move in that general direction, and we repeat this process over and over and over till we isolate it to one particular tree, which is awesome because that means humans are really good at 3D sound.
Okay, hold on just a second, though. That's the least redneck thing I've ever heard.
Well,
that's an incredibly clever... I thought you were going to say something like, so I got this buddy who has bloodhounds.
It gets
we got
better.
his bloodhounds out, and we made a posse.
And
then we just marked everywhere we'd been with, spit out the chew.
We got some
Wherever
deer
there's
estrus.
chew, we were like, we already done checked there because there's chew right there. Don't look there, Daryl. Look over there.
My dad's name actually is Daryl. Did you know that?
Oh, crud. I'm super sorry. We're editing that out. I'm sorry, Daryl.
Did you know his name was Daryl?
No, that was just a lucky Southern guess.
You jerk. And so anyway, we're out there triangulating. We find it in the tree, and we can't see it. And my son, we're like, okay, I'm going to give it the up command, and you tell me when you see it. And so I do that. And then one time when I do it, he goes, I see it. And we looked up, and he was able to ID the limb, and we did it again. And then we all saw it, and we're like, oh, well, heck, it's 50 feet in the air. What do? We don't have ladders that big. The limb's too small for us to climb. What do? We got a rifle and shot the limb out of the tree.
Of course you did. Did the bullet land in any heavily populated areas?
No. So that's a misconception. If you shoot a bullet in the air, it's not going to kill somebody in the county next to you. Well, okay. So when you shoot something, it has drag, right?
Sure.
So yes, what goes up must come down. So you shoot it up, and it slows down all the way up to the apogee, right, the very top, and then it starts falling, and it falls until the rate at which it's falling equalizes with the drag experienced on the bullet.
So that whole 32 feet per second squared rate of acceleration thing.
Yep, you put that on one side of the equation. You're there. You put that on one side of the equation. So it's, gravity times time.
Mm-hmm.
Put that over there. Mm-hmm. And on the other side of the equation, you put 1/2 rho v squared coefficient of drag, which is 1/2 the density of the air, velocity that the bullet's traveling, square times the coefficient of drag. Once you solve that equation, you can figure out exactly how fast that thing's falling.
So it comes out to not that fast.
Exactly. It could hit you in the head, and you'd be like, "Oh, what was that?" So
depending on how big the round is, and you were shooting what, like a 22?
Exactly. But it's pretty cool. How did we get here? We were talking about flying things.
Really easy, because we're afraid of the future, which is why this is the best episode ever of the two we've done so far.
Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to go check us out, drop a question to us. Once we start reviewing those, we'll incorporate those into the podcast. You can do so at destinandmatt.com or the lesser of the two websites. What is that? I forget, Matt. What's that?
Well, it's mattandestin.com, and that rolls off the tongue a lot better.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway.
the way you enunciate Matt and Destin. It's smoother. I'd use that one, just if I were you.
One will go to the correct website. One will go to Animal Carnage. I'm not joking. It really will. Anyway, that's it. Feel free to please subscribe on iTunes and leave a review. That would help us get up in the rankings. And at this point, we're going to have to ask you to do that because nobody else will if you don't. We'd really appreciate it. All right, that's it. I'm Destin.
I'm Matt.
Have a good one.